Great! Hello, and welcome back to Our Lives, Beginnings, and Always. So we are going to hit us through, continue, and we are going through the DLCs now for step 2. So let's get right into birthday. Ooh, colorful. It was a pleasant afternoon. The sun shone brightly, and the breeze tugged lightly at the balloons strung around the park. You and Cove had just dropped off... had just been dropped off at Miranda Eckert's birthday party. Miranda, sorry. You didn't really know Miranda. Last year was the first time you had a class with her, and everyone at school knew her as quiet. The shy girl stuck to her own friend group like glue. It had been a surprise that she was having such a big party. You looked around the expensive park, a spacious recreation center the next town over, and noticed the Bouncy Council. It tends to be when that happens, it's more the parents going around and trying to get their kids to be friends with more kids and getting a bunch of kids involved and other parents. Rand had a bit of a reputation for not caring if she acted mature, like other teens sometimes did. Ooh, yay! Girl after my own heart. Obviously. It made a certain amount of sense that her party would match that. You thought Miranda was sweet, you thought Miranda was weird, you didn't have any opinions yet, you wanted to get to know Miranda. I thought she was sweet. She had always gotten the vibe that she was nice, and invited you to her party to prove it. You liked that she wasn't obsessed with proving she was grown up. Maybe hanging out today would be fun. You hadn't had a choice in coming here today, and your moms insisted on it after you got invited, as did Cove's mom and dad. So both of you and he were driven over to the next town with presents in tow. All the parents had been pretty firm about going to a birthday if you'd been invited. Agreed it was best to attend, wondered if it was an adult thing, you were happy to be there, you wish you were somewhere else, you felt out of place, you were willing to give it a chance. Yeah, I agreed it's good to attend if you've actually been invited. Especially at that age. It was only polite to go to Miranda's party. Your moms were happy with your attitude as well. Cove made a small noise which caught your attention. He looked around, scanning the area, fidgeted with his gift in hand. Any idea what we're supposed to do with these? You looked at your own present and then towards the seating area. There was a table filled with snacks, drinks, supplies for various party games. Past all that, you spotted one table in the back that seemed to have a truckload of gifts. You pointed it out to Cove. Now shut the presents off over there. See, best thing about having a big party with a lot of people is a lot of gifts. Cove nodded with a smile and turned to where you gestured. He saw it too. Cool. You and Cove began to walk over to the present table, flattening the well-trimmed grass beneath your feet. You walk past groups of people. The classmates in semicircles, broken up into usual friend groups, chatting away. You, or maybe Cove, received the occasional greeting or friendly nod. However, as you passed by even more people that you had never seen before, you came aware that there were more strangers here than not. It was more crowded than you expected. Miranda Eckert, the quiet girl, was hosting the most popular birthday party you had been to in a long time. You looked at the new faces and thought you saw something of Miranda in them. Cousins, nieces, or nephews, maybe? Parties could be a big deal in her family. The both of you reached the table. You set your gifts down in an empty space, brushing some confetti aside, and Cole placed his gently next to it. He looked at the present thoughtfully. What did you get her? Before you had a chance to answer, Cole opened his mouth again and tapped his gift. Found this sparkly backpack. Figured she could use it for school or a trip or something. Moms had taken you out shopping the other day. You searched through the stores and ultimately... You just stuffed animal, you grabbed a necklace and bracelet, you found a light-hearted adventure book, chose a yarn craft kit that made a toy, you let your moms pick. Your moms didn't appreciate that you had picked and chose something else. I usually tend to get like those little kits, and like people will get me kits as well because they're fun and they're cute, so yeah. The colorful picture of the box appealed to you. It showed off a variation you could make with the kit. Along with bolded meshes easy and 43 pieces included. Hopefully the kit was as cool as it looked. You described it to Cole briefly and he had no objections. Not a bad idea. He brushed his hand against the side of his pants. I really hope Miranda likes her gifts, but I think we both did good. With that he gave you a sunny grin. He touched the gift one more time and then stepped away. Without the direction of needing to put stuff away, the two of you weren't sure what to do next. You felt a little awkward and Cole shrunk in on himself as he looked around. There were more guests heading to the present table, so you turned away and wandered off to a nearby tree where you wouldn't be in the way. From there, you both inspected the area and planned the next step. You were glad that Cole had been invited too. At least you had his company in this unfamiliar place. You watched him and he gave you a nervous grin. It reassured you a little and you smiled back. What's next? Cove did not appreciate being put on the spot. He was just as unsure as you were. Birthday party stuff? It didn't seem to be time for cake. What with people still arriving, nothing else seemed to be organized yet either. He noticed that himself and tried again. I mean, from the sounds of the size of this party, what do they got as a cake? Freaking wedding cake? Freaking 6 tiers? We could find Miranda. That was the idea. It made sense to greet the birthday girl. Okay, we could say hello. Wish her a happy birthday. Ask her what she wants people to do. We got a plan. So I'm just gonna double check we're not gonna miss any of those important... Yes, here we go. No, we're good. Okay. With that point, it was decided the Miranda hunt had begun. You wandered around. Anytime you saw someone with Miranda's hair color, you got a little closer, but more than once it turned out to not actually be her. Hey, look! Finally pointed over to the real Miranda. She smiled slightly when you both approached, but ducked her head. She seemed a little overwhelmed with being the center of attention today. Oh, she's cute! Hi, Cove. Hi, Jamie. Oh my gosh, look at her purple eyes. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Oh, nice. You all stood awkwardly. Miranda didn't seem genuinely happy, but there was still a distance between you. Did seem genuinely happy, but there was still a distance between you. This is a great looking party. Thank you. Is there something we need to do, or should we just hang out? What? Oh, it's interesting. She speaks the whole thing. And the bouncer house should open later if you really feel like jumping. Then after that, it's cake and presents time. We'll have ice cream, too. After that is when people will start going home. I hope that's okay with you guys. Cove nodded. He seemed a little more confident with the situation now. Thanks for letting us know. You grinned at her and she nodded back. Miranda waited there and you became hyper-aware of the silence forming. You heard a shout from a Randy and Miranda brightened up a total 180 and how stiff she had been with you guys. Birthday girl ran off to her friend, leaving you and Cove with at least a little more of an idea what to expect. You both glanced at each other wordlessly. All that was left now was finding something to fill time until the activities began. To have people around, you just talked to Cove, kind of a quiet spot, you just stood around where you were. I usually talk to a person I know. I know, I ain't the most social person, but I'm not the best in, big gatherings sometimes, and, so I'll talk to the people I know, and I'm good with socializing with other people if they come around, but I tend to stick with who I know. Started talking about how you felt about this kind of birthday party and what you wanted to do for your next party. Cove made the occasional suggestion. The conversation became silly as you started joking around about ridiculous party ideas. Cove wanted a moon party and you wondered if anyone ever had tried to make a cake big enough to be the party location. Suddenly a loud voice boomed over the crowd. The constant buzz of conversation dropped as one of the adults, maybe Miranda's dad, asked the kids to gather around because it was game time. I wonder what's going to happen. Me too. You shrugged, you scanned the area to make a guess, you made a joke about something that wasn't going to happen. I usually make a joke. We're gonna play high-stakes poker, it's obvious. Obvious, huh? Look at this crowd! Most of the guests were teenagers around your age, but there were also quite a few adults and some younger kids. Cove nodded sagely at a group of little kids. Yeah, those are high rollers. Just like you and the rest of your family. He smirked at that one. The adults announced that the kids under 10 had the first turn at the Bouncy house. For everyone else, it was time to play Pin the Tail on the Donkey. Cove raised his eyebrows. He was surprised for sure. You excited? You thought it was kind of silly. You were a little weirded out. You were fine with the game. You didn't. I was fine with it. Didn't have anything against Pin the Tail on the Donkey. It would probably turn out okay. You casually stepped up to join the line. The donkey in question was a cartoony poster with big eyes that looked more like a ping pong balls. It was positioned a few feet above the ground on a tree trunk. The teen who arrived first was blindfolded and then spun around. He was nudged to the side and away from the kids so he wouldn't stick someone with the tail instead. Fortunately for him, he placed the tail on the donkey's head like some kind of bizarre earring. He wouldn't be winning that far from the target. His next opponent did far better by landing it on the donkey's back. Spectators clapped politely and lined up, and the lineup moved up. More teens tried their hands at it. Just double check what's going on. More teens tried their hands at it. Some got closer than others, but no one had gotten it perfect yet. Soon it was Cove's turn. He was blindfolded and spun just like the others. At this point, it was a close match and everyone was watching with bated breath. Cole approached the donkey and stuck the tail on without any hesitation. Cole stood back and removed his blindfold, cheering when he saw how close he was. He turned his head over his shoulder and grinned at you. Your turn. Shook your head and stepped out of line. You took a turn. Take a turn. With the blindfold on, the bright park became utterly dark. As you were spun around, the sound around you seemed to get louder. At least you could tell the direction of the bouncy house and the shrieks of the children. You stopped spinning and stepped forward with the tail in hand. It was time to give it a stab. Place it directly in front of you. Place it to the right. Place it to the left. You reached up and placed it up. You bent and placed it downward. Place it directly in front of me. Place the tail on the target and step back. You took your blindfold off and checked the results. There were a few ohs from the crowd and some irregular clapping. As soon as you could see clearly again, you realized you missed the mark by a lot. Caught a glimpse of Cove as you handed back the blindfold. He was pleased, no doubt feeling good that his tail was closer. A few more kids took their turn. One girl managed to somehow pin the tail on the opposite side of the tree. You were pretty sure it had to be on purpose. With the line empty, the game was over. The adult running thing started to inspect the donkey. At this point, the sign was more the tail than the donkey. In the end, someone you didn't know announced as the winner. You and Cove both exchanged a look, even as you clapped politely. Huh. He sighed. He looked back at the board. I was so close, too. You were also to the point it was a good name. You shrugged it off. You teased him. Someone's really down, especially over what's just a kid's game. Seriously, Jamie? You grinned cheekily, and Cove eventually rolled his eyes and smiled, too. He watched the winner and considered whether to say something to him. He hesitated, however, and ended up not approaching the team. Another teen walked up, tall enough to tower over you and Cove. You felt a little intimidated by the stern-faced teenager until she started to speak. Her voice was low, but friendlier than her tough crown would suggest. Hi, I'm handing out party favors. Do you want one? She showed you the party hats. She insisted they were the key to a true party mood. I agree. She had two options, either a colorful headband with two teeny party hats arranged almost like ears, or a tiara with star on it. They were both very festive. Thanks. You knew the teen hadn't actually glared at him. Her default facial expression just seemed grim. One of the headbands picked a crown. He'd want either. Give me the one with the headbands. We're gonna stay on point. Blue hats, pink hats, purple hats, green hat. Ooh, I like blue. Teacher handed you the hat with the surprising amount of gusto, given her expression never changed. She gave you a serious thumbs up for taking it. Then you first picked one, the other go. Oh, we're gonna pick him. You held out a pink headband hat with one hand and a crown in the other. You tried to imagine what they look like on Cove. You really should try it. It'd be great. Cove looked back at the hats and then at you. With a sigh, he grabbed hold of one. The teen with the hats clapped as much as she could with all the hats in her hands. The unknown teenager nodded approvingly at you both and went to pass out hats to more people. You put the party hat on your head with a smile, and it fit well. It was surprisingly comfortable. It really completes your look. When did you get so fashionable? He smirked and you just suggested your new accessory. Oh, party animal now. Doesn't look very good on me, thanks. It does look very good on me, thanks. I don't know why I'm doing this. Oh, party animal now. Really? Of course. Cove nodded with a thoughtful look on his face. If the party spirit is contained in teeny party hats, does that mean they're haunted? You snorted at the suggestion. You considered the hat on your head. It didn't seem haunted, but maybe that was what it wanted you to think. Oh my god. That's adorable. Cole finally put his hat on. He was nervous about it, his face uncertain. I don't know about this. I feel kind of silly. Does it look weird? You look great, Cove. It's completely perfect. You look silly. You just giggled. You shook your head. Oh, no. You look great. Oh, thank you. He readjusted his hat bashfully. After that, the people in charge quickly set up the next game. Teenagers milled about until they were told to find partners. You tried to listen to the rules, straining your ears to listen to the adult announcing what you were supposed to do. It was a simple game. One person in a pair would throw candy while the other had to catch it in their mouth. If they caught it, the partner would move on to the next round, where everyone would take a step back and a former catcher would become the thrower. The game would continue, the players getting further and further until one set of partners were the only ones left standing. Apologies. Or everyone lost it around. Oh, it's like the egg toss game. About half the guests had already found partners. They moved fast. You noticed Cove had his eyes on you. Could we be partners? Oh, yes. Neither of you were all that familiar with anyone else here. It'd be the safe choice to pair up. I don't want to play. You agree to be Cove's partner. Let's do it, partner. He beamed and you started wondering about your respective candy catching capabilities. 2 rows of players facing each other formed. Cove tilted his head toward them and you started to head over. Ooh, we're up close. You both lined up directly in front of each other. It took a while to pass up the candy. You were handed a small bag of gummies that smelled strongly fruity. Notice Cove took it upon himself to do a taste test of the red one across from you. They're not bad. Should have waited. Try one yourself. You ended up grabbing a purple gummy. It was sweet and you guessed it was supposed to be grape flavored, but it was mostly just really sugary. And then it was time to begin. Cove's row was set to throw first. He smiled nervously, his eyes wide with seriousness. You grinned and Cove's smile looked more genuine and was less filled with tenseness. The game was on. The adult in charge shouted for the throwers to go. You and Cove were only a couple feet away from each other. With Cove's careful toss, you caught the candy easily. Like you, most of the other players moved on to the next round. There were a few gaps in the rows as everyone took a step back. The round was harder with pairs further apart, but not overly so. It could be done if both partners tried. Did your best as you tossed. You had fun with it, but still tried. You threw the candy without care. You made sure it missed. No, we're gonna do our best. I'm not very good at these kind of games, though. You carefully plucked a gummy from the bag, and it felt the weight. You shifted it in your hand a couple times for practice and told Cove you're ready. You went for an underthrow, careful to aim for Cove's mouth. The blue candy arched and landed perfectly in Cove's mouth. Chewed it twice and swallowed wildly. You could tell Cove was genuinely pleased to make it through another round. You're happy as well. Oh, he's ready to go. The next round began and you took another step back. Cove was even further now, but he made an okay sign. He was in this to win it. Around you, the once packed rows of players had thinned out some. You wondered how many rounds everyone had left in them. Cove swung his arm and made eye contact with you. You nodded and the green candy flew towards you. Tried your best to catch it. You casually tried. You refused. No, you did not catch it. We're going to try our best to catch it. He wants to win. I want to win. We're winning. Follow the arch of the candy and open your mouth wide. It was a slight spin on it and you tilted your head to the left to compensate. Bit down on the candy, grinning with your victorious catch. It tasted sweet and vaguely like Slurpee. Yay, Jamie! Cove was thrilled. He was entirely invested in the game at this point. You and Cove were still in the game. He knew this was the final round. Only a few pairs were left. Cove's determined to win. You could see it in the clench of his jaw, the careful way he watched you. You were charmed by his attitude. You equally wanted to win. You didn't want to let him down. You thought this was kind of funny. You're slightly nervous. Oh, we're charmed. We're ready to go. We're winning. You liked having a partner that was so into the game. His determination sparked something in you. Admiration? An answering desire to win? You weren't sure. Cove gave you a firm grin and you prepared to throw. Your fingers grabbed the orange gummy from the bag. It felt solid in your grasp, even if your hand was starting to get sticky from touching all the sugary sweets. Cove leaned his face toward you, bent his knees ready to catch. The time came, he looked at the candy, and then at Cove. Tried your best, you threw it casually and messed up your throw. Trying our best. Candy flew like a missile straight towards him. Cove almost stumbled forward trying to get it right, but your aim was perfect. He got it into his mouth. A wide grin spread on his face as Cove victoriously chomped down on the candy. Yes! Low at the cheer, he jumped up in excitement and pumped one arm. You looked at your left and then to your right. You see a few remaining pairs walking away, commiserating over their losses. With some shock, you realized that you and Cove were the only ones who made it to that round. You won. You watched the moment Cove clicked into the same realization. His face brightened like sunshine, and he jogged over to close the difference between you. Step closer and meet him halfway. High five, Cove, put an arm around him. You jumped into a hug, ruffled his hair, and nudged in a friendly way. You smiled him. High five. Put your hand up and Cove high-fived you with a satisfying smack. You'd won this together. He gaily stomped his feet in place in front of you as though he couldn't contain his energy. We did it! He then wrapped an arm around your neck, pulling you closer in a celebration side hug. You adjusted the hat that had nearly fallen off throughout the event. Nice catch, woohoo! You demolished the comfort. Nice catch! Nice throw! The game runner strolled over him and merrily gave you both a bunch more candy on top of letting you keep the gummy bags. It was quite the collection. With the candy toss over it, you were going to need something else to do. You didn't have to wait long. You heard someone in the crowd shouting that the Bouncy house was officially open for older kids. You and Cole shared a look. Cole smiled and you knew you wanted in. Hell yes. Both ran over to the Bouncy Castle and kicked off your shoes. I'd love to go to Bouncy Castle now. You crawled into the inflated castle with Cove hot on your heels. There were a couple other teens inside already. You started to get a feel for bouncing. Cove hopped from the middle to the side and back. Just after you landed from a particularly high jump, someone else snuck in. It was the birthday girl herself. Hi, Miranda. Hello. Hey, birthday girl. You waved. You just glanced their way. Hello. Miranda looked happy. She waved both her hands at you with a megawatt grin. I hope you're having fun. She hopped around with her hands in front of her like a kangaroo, a surprisingly effective way to clear the distance of the bouncy house. She then jumped high, kicking both her legs out to the side and touched the tip of her toes with her fingers. Wow. Miranda hadn't run out of tricks yet. She jumped a couple more times, gaining height before doing a backflip and tucking into a ball. She managed to land on her feet, but didn't stick the landing. She tumbled back and fell on her butt. Cove clapped and Miranda inclined her head almost like a bow. She was back to jumping in no time. You're so good at this. She bounced close enough to the two of you to talk without shouting across the way. Cove's bouncing slowed down to accommodate the conversation. It's like a little bit quieter, but she's still there. My family gets these every year and we have a trampoline in our backyard. You're sucking, Miranda. That's really cool. I want to do flips too. You're not in the conversation. Yeah, that's awesome. Miranda giggled a bit and then her eyes sparkled. Hey, can you launch someone if... Hey, I can launch someone if you want. If I jump in front of you, then your bounce will go higher. Okay, launch me. Not me. I'd rather just watch. Remain silent. Okay, launch me. Sure. Miranda leaped over to you, her excitement clear in her face. Cove watched with interest. She explained more clearly how this was supposed to work. You got ready to bounce on her cue. 3, 2, 1. The moment she came down, you jumped high. The force of her, just as she had said, helped launch you up. The air rushed past your face, and then you were coming back down. Your feet hit the bouncy house hard enough to help launch Miranda up a little as well. She used some more, and the two of you took turns bouncing each other up. Cove clapped and offered a suggestion, but it was coming clear that he wanted to turn too. Miranda invited him to join and tried to synchronize your bounces to launch Cove up super high. First time resulted in everyone crashing down in a pile of laughs. Oh, gosh. Oops. With the fifth attempt, Cove managed to catch some serious airtime. Woo! You all had fun bouncing around. You twirled, Miranda did stunts. Cove futilely tried to touch the highest tip of the castle's ceiling. You and Cove chatted to Miranda more than you ever had in school. She was truly the queen of this bouncy castle. Whenever someone did something cool, everyone would cheer. If you fell, the others would help you up. That's a very nice town. Eventually, some people wanted to take turns in the bouncy house, so you and Cove left. As you slipped on your shoes, you saw Miranda get drawn into a conversation with a group of adults. She would be talking to them for a while. You and Cove decided to take a break and hydrate. You went to the party table and grabbed some ice water. Cove handed you a party noisemaker he picked up from the same table as he blew on his and made a funny sound when it unrolled. Cove drowned his drink in a couple gulps. He had gotten pretty into bouncing after all. You were still slipping on your water when Cove blew his noisemaker again, then again and again. It almost turned into tune. You didn't recognize any particular melody, but the noisemaker also is an instrument. The noise cut through the hum of the other party guests, loud and noticeable. You asked Cove to stop. You started blowing on your own nose. You blew your noisemaker back at night. You were amused by his antics. Yeah, we're amused. You laughed and Cove started blowing it more towards you. He leaned in so the tip would unfurl the paper, nearly booping your nose. You stepped back and shook your head fondly. You blew your noisemaker back at Cove. You blew hard enough to unfurl the paper completely straight. It jutted towards Cove, almost tapping his nose. It was a game now. Both of you tried to land a light hit on the other. Cove managed to get your chin while you scored right in between his eyes. Oh, I was wondering if this guy was going to come back, because they introduced him like once, and then never again, so I wasn't sure if his kid was going to come back. Someone vaguely familiar shouted, and you snapped your heads to the side. Cove's noisemaker dropped from his mouth. The speaker stepped up, and there was no doubt. It was Jeremy, that mean boy you met at the start of the summer. Ooh. Going to the side of him. Oh, hey, it's the bowl cut kid. When I come on, you instantly got angry at his parents tried to. I try not to be, like, immediately mean. Might have been rude, but you did not want to deal with Jeremy right now. Or any time, really. Why are you here? Cove's tone was defensive. He watched Jeremy's face turn slack as if Cove's question with idiocy above all idiocies. Didn't I already explain that? He hadn't, so both you and Cove changed a look. Do you have memory loss, or are you really that stupid? Seriously. My parents brought me. Apparently, I couldn't just stay inside like I wanted. No, they insisted I get out and enjoy the day and have fun on vacation, blah blah blah. He said enjoy the day and have fun on vacation like someone would say scrub the entire bathroom or listen to an off-key singer for 10 hours. They found a park because I hate the beach. Too bad I also hate parks. Ugh, it's dirty here. They don't know anything. Oh, and then they saw this stupid party and decided to bother some adults by asking what's going on. They think maybe we could be included. It's moronic. Get it now? That's how my parents are. Annoyingly embarrassing. Why would anyone want strangers at their party? Why can't they ever just leave things alone? Half loudly, and his eyes shot daggers at some grown-ups that presumably were his parents. Yeah, that's really awkward and so great. You don't complain about it. It sucks to be you. You try to be friendly and welcome Jeremy to the park. I don't know. Yeah, it's awkward. You didn't have to say it back to me. I know. Jeremy's eyes slipped away from you to take in the rest of the park for a bit. It was a little awkward. It was possible he didn't know what to do, but then he spoke again. How can people really go around in these embarrassing party ads? Do they think it's fun or something? How can a human being be so dumb? It's just kind of nice to do at party stuff. Jeremy scoffed, unimpressed. The expression on his face was nasty as he spoke. I am not surprised an empty-headed person like you would think that. Jeremy looked you over, completely dismissive. It was so rude you can't help but feel offended. Cole's face hardened. He seemed more offended than when anyone actually insulted him personally. Just because you don't know how to be happy doesn't mean no one else does, and it's not our fault if you hate everything. It's not okay for you to take it out on Jamie. She isn't doing anything wrong. You are. Oh, we're getting into a fight now. Oh no, we're getting serious. Jeremy seemed unfazed by Cole's defenses and sniffed. Jamie can humiliate herself on her own. She doesn't need you to step in to do it for her. Poured your drink on Jeremy and punched Jeremy in the face. John was wearing a noisemaker. He stood still, shocked. He teared up. Oh, that's gonna get me in so much trouble. Whatever, we're doing it. You made sure to thoroughly soak him before you had time to react. He yelped back and snapped at you. Were you drinking that? Ew, were you crazy? Gross. You're a dick. You're ruining someone's party. I'm going to find your parents to tell them what's going on. Don't say that ever again. People are actually starting to watch what was going on. Rolling down. Your argument wasn't quiet at this point. Why don't you just leave us alone if we're so awful? Jeremy glared even more and huffed. Oh, rude! Talking to you is pointless. He stalked off like the last time he saw him, muttering under his breath. Coe sighed in relief after Jeremy was gone. He relaxed, but only for a moment. He noticed just how much attention he'd drawn from the other guests. Luckily, it hadn't gone on long enough to get a real crowd. A concerned adult in a blue button-up shirt approached you and asked who that was and if everyone was alright. I'm fine. Cove looked at you cautiously, asking just as much as the adult if you were okay. Everything's fine now. Don't have to worry about us. The concerned adult lingered for a few seconds before nodded and left you alone. The Jeremy fiasco was officially over. Cove rubbed his eyes, clearly ready to put all that nonsense behind him. Then he started laughing. It was a surprised laugh, breaking out of his chest without an actual joy. It was nervous and disbelieving and all complex emotions brought about by one meeting with Jeremy. I can't believe it. He spoke in fits and starts. You poured your drink on him, the look on his face. You shrugged. He deserved it. You felt bad about it. You were still mad at what happened. You deserved it. You can't just say things and get away with it. Cove nodded to himself and then continued speaking. I wouldn't want someone to do it to me, but it's not like I can blame you. He was treating us so bad for no reason. Pretty sure he'll be okay. I bet it won't even change anything for him. Cove paused and shyly twisted his fingers together, then in a quieter voice he spoke. And if you're bad for doing it, I'm bad too, because I kind of like watching you do it, Jamie. Being bashful, barely able to meet your eyes as he smiled shyly, but only because he deserved it. I wouldn't want that to happen to someone out of nowhere or anything. You felt flattered, you laughed happily over admission, you agreed it was satisfying, you also felt bashful. Oh, you felt flattered. Do you want to tell your moms about Jeremy, I mean? Are you going to say what you did back at him? They'll probably be nice about it, and maybe they know how to handle someone like him. Nobody's lived in thought. I'm not going to tell them anything if you don't. Thanks for asking. You decided to bring it up to your mom's later and wanted to keep this between you and Cove. I'll just keep it between us. Well, that's not. I don't think it would help. Okay. Apologies for making him wear the party hat. You decided to drop the topic. Well, I guess apologize. Sorry, Cove. It's my fault you were wearing the party hat in the first place. Cove shook his head. If anything, he seemed surprised at your apology. I don't mind that you did. It's been fun. The whole day has been fun, except for Jeremy, and he's gone now. He reached up and flicked the hat with pride, giving you a small grin, made you happy. Finally, he bent over to pick up the noisemaker that Cove dropped, and Jeremy appeared. It might be too dirty to use now, but you didn't want to leave it there. He accepted it softly when you offered the little favor back to him. Thanks, Jamie. I like how we can be there for each other. Makes me feel better about the kind of stuff when it happens. Yeah. Yeah, it's always good when you have a friend who's there for you when bad stuff happens. Cove suggested that you should find a seat at one of the tables. It was almost cake time and he wanted to be prepared. It was a good reminder that the party wasn't over yet. There's a free table there. Let's get ready for some cake. You and Cove tried to settle down after the last event. You took seats across from one another at one of the park tables. There were a few attempts to chat, but for the most part, you simply watched the adults run around to set up the cake cutting. There was a minor panic when who you assumed was Miranda's dad apparently forgot the lighter for the candles. He and another man went through and started asking other adults for matches or lighters. They weren't having any luck until the grim-faced teenager who had been passing out party hats pulled a green lighter out of an ice cream cooler. Why the lighter was put in a cooler remained a mystery, but the party hat girls find it and was time to get things going again. Miranda sat at the head of the longest table. A large chocolate cake was set in front of her. She lit all 14 candles with the cooler lighter with a big smile. The adults started singing happy birthday and the rest of the guests joined in. At the end of the song, Miranda blew out the candles, and with a dedicated huff, she closed her eyes and you saw her slightly mouth something. Maybe it was her birthday wish. Amanda cut her own slice, then one of the grown-ups took over cutting the cake. Another adult passed around plates of cake sliced with scoops of vanilla ice cream to the guests. Eventually the cake got around to you and Cove. Cove was pleased with the treat in general. The cake looked rich and moist. It smelled quite chocolatey. I love chocolate cake. You only wanted you wanted cake. You wanted both cake and ice cream. I'll probably just go with cake. Don't always have... I find, I don't mind cake, but I don't eat very much of it. I don't have too much dairy because I don't react well to it. Not that this really matters, but, you know. You shoved the ice cream to the side and focused on the cake. You stabbed your pink plastic fork into the slice and tried a bite. It's fantastic chocolate cake. It had a rich chocolate filling and was moist inside. Hey, I'll take what you don't want. Cove eyed you hopefully, and you could hear his legs swinging against the tablecloth hanging over the side of the table. Slid your plate over as you could. Cove transferred what you didn't want to his plate and then handed yours back. Thanks. He beamed and you felt a little bit better that you had wanted dessert would still be enjoyed. Cove then took his fork and started mashing up some of his cake. When the cake resembled a pile of crumbly chunks, he started mixing it in with the ice cream. The melted parts of ice cream made a kind of chocolate cake soup. Oh my god. Raised your eyebrow, you told him you'd do the same thing. He looked at it and thought it was gross. I've never done that, but I want to now. Yeah. How does it taste? Really good, but it's better with brownies. He grinned and took a bite of his own mixture. Cove intently chewed down on his concoction. One advantage to his mix is that the ice cream seemed to catch most of the crumbs that would usually fall from eating a cake. And like some of the kids around him, Cove's shirt remained clean. You started eating your dessert in earnest. You enjoyed yourself plenty. Cove suddenly put his fork down on his plate and stared up at the sky with a faraway expression. You checked but didn't see anything attention-grabbing. The ice cream is better than those ones in cups, you know? With the little wooden spoons, but I still kind of want that instead. You remembered what kind he was talking about. Oh yes! I remember those ones in the few episodes back when we were doing the barbecue, yeah. Oh yeah, like the ones handed out at the barbecue before the fireworks happened. Cove smiled nostalgically at the thought. You could picture a younger Cove for a moment with the same look in his eyes. You remembered how your ma tried to share with everyone that night. He held up your fork and offered a bit of your dessert to him. You asked him if you could have a bit of his dessert. Smiled about the memory to yourself. The dessert was held unsteadily on your plastic fork, and you had to be careful as you moved it towards him. Cove and I blew out your offer. What? Told him you're serious, you laughed along with him. Your shared laughter attracted the attention of some of the other party guests. It took a moment to compose yourselves and get back to your dessert. Miranda then started to open her gifts. She systematically attacked the mountain of presents like a pro. She checked for any cards and read them loudly before opening a gift. She smiled at every present, including the ones you and Cove got her. You were glad the presents were accepted. It took time, but eventually Amanda got through all the gifts. She was very sweet and polite throughout it all. The party went until the sun began to set. By that point, most of everything had settled down and people began to leave. Any of the guests whose parents had stayed for the party were already gone, except for Miranda's family. Only a few kids still waited for their parents to come get them remained, you and Cove included. Miranda's family were cleaning up, and as guests, neither you nor Cove were supposed to help with that. Instead, you both had decided to take it easy in the Bouncy castle. It was somewhere out of the way where you could casually wait for your ride. Miranda had also elected to hang out with you. You weren't even bouncing anymore. Cove laid on his side with his back to the wall, and Miranda sat across from him with her legs stretched out. You also made yourself comfortable. It was nice and warm in the little round building. It also felt like you had some privacy, which was nice. You could all speak openly here. Thanks for coming. She looked down but continued shyly. It's been really cool to get to hang out with you a little bit. Thanks for letting me come. I didn't think I'd be invited. Thanks from me too, Miranda. Yeah, I wasn't expecting it either. I'm happy I could come. Thanks for having me too. Manager smiled a little more. So, did you notice anything happen earlier with some people you didn't know showing up? She had to think about his question a little. It was apparent that she didn't have an encounter with Jeremy, since there was no instant recognition. I heard about something. Some of her parents were talking to my parents when their kid came and forced them to leave the party. She tilted her head to the side, finding it weird, but also not important. Then everyone had cake and ice cream. Coke smiled uncomfortably. That's good. He was clearly worried that Jeremy's confrontation could have gotten to her. Luckily, it didn't seem that anyone had overheard or passed along Jeremy's cruel words. Cove rolled on his back and sighed contently. Miranda seemed confused, but wasn't going to push. Got up and started bouncing again. You laid back, closed your eyes to rest. Changed the subject, told her about the ordeal. Changed the subject. What are you going to do with all those gifts? It had been a mountain of stuff. Miranda laughed. Cove gave a bent smile and made a suggestion. You can carry some in that backpack you got. She giggled and clapped her hands with delight. And that's true. You all continued chatting in a laid-back manner until it was time to go home. At the end of the day, you thought it had been quite the party. Aw, cute. So that was birthday. Aside from the little hiccup in the middle with Jeremy, I think we still had a pretty decent day. So that moves us on to summer work. So that we only have 3 more to go, and I think that's it for special moments. Will be the last one is in soiree, I believe. Okay, perfect. So I'm so excited. We've got more to go. It's gonna be awesome. I'm so excited for this, and I think we'll probably breeze through a few more episodes soon. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all around for the next one.